Must be loading a lot. All right, it says it's still starting on my side, but can you all hear me?
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and begin. I want to say welcome to everybody. Appreciate you all being here with us this evening, and hope that we have the. Oh, all right. That looks like it's started. All right. Um, Good evening. Want to welcome everybody to be here with us tonight for kind of our kickoff, first time around opportunity to host one of these business development um, webinars. And want to start off with a couple of things first, just some information. If you look across the top, you'll have a couple of buttons up there. One of those says chat, and I would encourage you all to open up that chat, and it'll come open on the on my screen. At least it comes up on the right hand side. That's going to be the main area through which we're going to be engaging this evening. There will not be a microphone availability for any of the folks that are joining us, and that's not in any way intended to be personal. It's just that with our experience in running these webinars, we just can't really function very well with a lot of microphones in the background that are turned on. So what we'd like for you to do is utilize that chat feature. Again, across the top, you'll see a button that says chat. Click on that. It'll open up on the side. And we're going to have folks answering questions the entire time that we're going through our presentations this evening. Apart from that, we did want to just let everybody know that we're going to be available for questions at the end of our presentation. And if we have questions that kind of run past the time that we have allotted, we're going to take note of the questions that are in the chat and respond to those if we don't have a chance to respond to them during the course of this meeting. And we're also available, and we're going to share our contact information with you as we get through to each one of the business development consultants, and as they give their presentation, they'll share their information. We'll also share that at the end if anybody should need that. So I'll kick it off by introducing myself. My name's Andy Holt. I'm actually, since the time that we planned this webinar, have changed roles from being the Assistant Commissioner of Business Development now to taking on the role of Deputy Commissioner here at the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. And so the team that's on here that's going to be presenting this evening is the team that I have worked with for the last 4 years. And I have full faith in each one of these folks. And I think you're going to get a full dose of lots and lots of opportunity this evening. And we are here to serve you. So I'll be transitioning again, probably away from business development a little bit more over the next couple of weeks and months. But we will have somebody that will fill my spot within the assistant commissioner role. And it's going to be just great, I promise. So all that said, again, if you have questions, throw those over in the chat. But at this time, I think we're going to go ahead and kick it off, and I'm going to turn the presentation over. I think, Rachel, if you'll go ahead and share your screen with the slides, and then we will begin with Sarah Emery Botwinick, and she's going to talk to us about Pick Tennessee products. So, Sarah, take it away.
Okay, hello everybody. While Rachel's getting that set up, I'm Sarah. I'm the director of Pick Tennessee Products, and yeah, I'm excited to be here initially. So we have over 3,000 members at this point, which is pretty crazy. The program was developed in 1987, so it's going to be our 40th birthday soon. So that's going to have a birthday party or something. But so first of all, if you're not a member on Pick Tennessee Products, the website is picktnproducts.org, and you can apply. There's a button that says apply now, and you can just click that, and it pulls up the application, and it'll probably take 5 minutes. It's a very simple, straightforward application. But if you have any questions, my contact information is at the bottom of the screen. So that's housekeeping on that. So I wanted to touch on kind of the big things that we do throughout the year, and we have 3 big events and then several other events sprinkled throughout the year for our members. So first we have the Pick Tennessee Products Trade Show at the PICTN conference that'll be next month. It is actually sold out. So that's awesome that that trade show is completely sold out. It's full. Great. The next thing is TGCSA, which is the Tennessee Grocers and Convenience Store Association. They have a big conference and expo in June, and we have a Pick Tennessee Products Pavilion there. So it's a separate area that's just open to Pick Tennessee Products members, and there are buyers and suppliers for grocery and convenience stores. And then there's also this super fun additional kind of thing that you can sign up for called Business Connect, where you get to do your pitch to a buyer or supplier for one of those stores, which is a really incredible opportunity. And we've seen a lot of Pick Tennessee Products members come from that and get to go to the next level, which is so awesome. And then, of course, if you haven't heard yet, we have the Pick Tennessee Products Experience, which is the Pick Tennessee Products store at the Wilson County, Tennessee State Fair. The dates for that is August 14th through the 23rd this year. It's in Lebanon in Wilson County. And put it on your calendar if you're a producer, because we're going to start sending out information for that really soon. And it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Now, the two really big exciting things. This is the floor plan from this year. And then that we also did Dickens too. That was another pop-up store that's more of a smaller scale. But the two big things that we're planning for 2025 and really excited about is a mobile store, and we're very close to that being a true reality, which is so exciting. This will be a store that's on a trailer that will literally travel around the state and pop up at events and fairs and literally whatever events out there that want it. And it'll have just Pick Tennessee Products producers products in it, and it's gonna be great. But we're like very, very, very close to this being legit, like construction happening. So super excited. And then the other thing is the new app and website. So if you haven't noticed, the Pick Tennessee Products app does not work great, and I highly suggest just use the website right now. The app is out of support with tech, so they can't fix anything with it. So we're in the process of a new app and a new website that are going to be much more user friendly, cleaner looking, and they're going to have way more features too, which is also pretty awesome. We're going to have a forum where producers and buyers or suppliers, where everyone can talk to each other and maybe trade products or just be able to actually work more collaboratively. And that just doesn't exist right now. So yeah, that's Pick Tennessee Products. My information's on the bottom. If you need me, reach out. I'm happy to answer any Pick Tennessee Products questions. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be another great year.
All right, Jan, we're going to have you come up next and talk a bit about Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jan Kieser with the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program. This is a cost share program for Tennessee ag producers. It covers livestock, row crop, hay, swine, poultry, fruit and vegetable, horticulture, organics, honeybee, agritourism, value-added products, hay producers, if I didn't add that, but I'm going to have Rachel click on the link for our web pages for ag enhancement. This past year was the first year that we went totally online with our application process and also with information for the program. So Rachel, if you click on the link, that'll take us to the web pages. And I just want to point out probably one of the most helpful web pages, if it's the first time you visit our website, would be to check out the Navigating the TAP web pages. That goes over each of the web pages and kind of gives an overview of where to find the information. I always recommend starting at the top and going through all the way to the bottom. But you can always jump into any one of these pages if it interests you. But the first one, the TAP overview, gives an overview of TAP and highlights the economic impact of the program. I think that's extremely important because the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program is truly an economic stimulus program affecting or influencing, impacting all 95 counties within the state of Tennessee. So for every dollar the state contributes for TAP, it generates $6.55 and the local economies, and that's extremely important. On this particular page, you'll find kind of the little history. It does go over all the programs and just the basics about TAP, and it also features our fact sheet. Every year we come out with a fact sheet that lists the number of projects that the program has put out there on the ground, and also the amount of dollars per program and also per county on the county level. So that's an excellent page. The TAP updates features updates to the program for each year. So that just kind of went over the highlights of the changes within ag enhancement for the past year. That's kind of a key area if you're new to TAP or if you're a returning customer to TAP, because that's where you really get the skinny on what the latest and greatest opportunities are within the program. The TAP timeline is extremely important as well, just because it goes over the calendar for TAP, when to apply. Our application period is historically been October 1st through the 7th. So we always remind people, make sure and mark your calendars for that that Tuesday after Labor Day. And if you haven't heard about what's going on within TAP, just visit our website, because usually by then everything's up and running with in all the new information, and it's a good time to check it out. But that's where you get the quick calendar. The applying for TAP gives over the basics on how to apply. Eligibility, obviously, it's we wish we could fund everybody, but we have some eligibility requirements, so that's extremely important to review over those to make sure you qualify. Starting this year, we do require all approved applicants to have an educational requirement. So that educational requirement page is essential if you're approved and you want to be reimbursed. So the majority of our educational requirements are master certifications through the University of Tennessee. We also offer the TSU Small Farmer Academy for producer diversification as well. And then within producer diversification, there's also a special requirements list that includes some events such as the Pick Tennessee Conference. The reimbursement requirements goes over the fine print, so to speak, on receipts and important information about reimbursements. Verification requirements is another important aspect of TAP. We do expect these projects or infrastructures to be utilized for their intended purpose for a minimum of 5 years. We do have a robust verification process, so just be aware of that. Also, the amount of cost share that you get from the program is a key aspect. So the 50% cost share and the maximum reimbursements is important. Each program has a maximum reimbursement, and it's based upon 50% cost share, and that's just important to know. Obviously, they're not an equal 50-50 for the items that you may purchase. So in other words, don't expect 50% back if you buy that livestock trailer, because you're not going to get 50%. Unfortunately, you only get 2,000. That particular item is under livestock equipment. Now, the really important one is producer programs. We really stress the importance of exploring each program, seeing if you qualify for the program. On each of the program pages, it does state the minimum requirements for that program and goes over all the details of the program as far as eligible items as well. So there is a lot within TAP. So it may look pretty simplistic here on the web pages, but please take time to read over. Hopefully you'll discover some gems that can impact your operation. And as everybody looking on the screen sees, this is direct contacts to our coordinators, and we have email proxies for each program and phone numbers. And the key to success is communication. So never hesitate to give us a call, and hopefully you'll find some benefit from this wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And if you all can't tell, we're going to run through a lot of information pretty quickly, pretty much in 5-minute slots. And so up next is going to be Rachel Sullivan, and she's going to talk to us about the different cost share opportunities that we have. Well, largely most of the cost share opportunities that we have within the division. So Rachel, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Andy. In addition to the Ag Enhancement Program that Jan just spoke about, we have multiple grants that run through business development. And I wanted to highlight some of the bigger programs that a lot of you are familiar with. Just want to go over a couple of details about each of those. And as Sarah iterated, if you have any questions at all, my contact information is in the bottom of the slide, and I'm glad to take phone calls or emails. I'm glad to help you in any way that I can. So the first two grants that I wanted to speak about are our Ag Enterprise Fund and our Ag Track Fund. They are very similar. I say they mirror each other, except Ag Track is AEF on steroids. You will hear Ag Enterprise Fund referred to as AEF because we specialize in acronyms at the Department of Agriculture. So both Ag Enterprise Fund and Ag Track are cost share programs that support the governor's priority of job creation and economic development, and they facilitate ag development across our state. Both grants are awarded to startups or expanding agricultural, food, and forestry businesses, nonprofits, local governments, and other entities across Tennessee, or entities whose projects will be located in Tennessee. The programs focus on value added and processing projects that benefit other producers and forest landowners. Both of these grants are competitive grants. Successful grant recipients will demonstrate a strong potential for impact on local farm income, access to markets, increased capacity, or ag innovation. Priority is going to be given to businesses located in at-risk or distressed counties, or counties adjoining at-risk or distressed counties. Both the AEF and Ag Track provide a 25% cost share. AEF cost shares 25% up to $100,000, and Ag Track provides a 25% cost share up to $1 million. So the applications are always accepted. The portal is always open, but we do quarterly reviews. The next AEF application deadline will be April the 10th. The Ag Track deadline will be March the 30th. And when I'm done presenting, I'll put those website addresses in the chat so you can easily access additional information. So another grant that we offer is the Farmers Market Grant Program. And it's offered to farmers markets across the state. And the purpose of these grants is to help promote, market, or make improvements to local farmers markets. There is specific criteria that must be met in order to qualify. So if you are interested, if you work with a farmers market, you are a vendor at a farmer's market, or if you're with Extension and you work with a local market, please reach out to me and we'll see if the market that you're associated with will qualify. It is a $1,500 grant. It's a reimbursement grant, and it's awarded annually. And it is not competitive based. You just have to qualify and submit an application. There is another grant I wanted to be sure and mention, but it's not, you will not be open for application, but it is important that you know about it. It is our Farm to Food Bank program. The department is working closely with the 5 regional food banks across the state to administer the Farm to Food Bank program. With this program, the food banks are connecting with Tennessee's farmers and Tennessee producers to help feed our food insecure neighbors. If you're interested in participating with this program, please reach out to me and I will help connect you with your regional food bank. Every Tennessean, you may not know, every Tennessean is covered by a food bank, and we'll want to get you connected with the one closest to your location. So this grant is a multi-million-dollar grant given to the food banks, and they are only allowed to purchase from Tennessee farmers. So it is a huge win-win if you want to take advantage of it. I'm glad to help answer any questions you have and help connect you with the food banks. And the next 2 that I wanted to talk about are our Specialty Crop Block Grant and RFSI, which stands for Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure. Oftentimes, we're asked by the USDA to administer grants on their behalf, and 2 of those grants are Specialty Crop Block Grant and RFSI. Specialty Crop Grant works to enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops, and specialty crops are defined as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, and nursery crops. The projects must be industry focused and impact multiple producers. This grant is not for startups or projects that only benefit one operation. The most competitive proposals are those that have a positive, long-lasting impact on Tennessee agriculture. Due to the change in administration, we don't have the information for this year's Specialty Crop Block Grant is not ready to be announced yet, but please stay tuned to our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. I can't promise that I'll see what we can do about getting Specialty Crop Block Grant put on LinkedIn, but check out those social media accounts and our website for upcoming program announcements. Hopefully those announcements will be ready in the next month or so to be made. So many of you, I also wanted to talk about RFSI for a minute. Many of you know the department received one-time money from USDA to fund RFSI, the Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Program. The application period has passed, but I did want to share because I've received several emails. For those that applied, the project proposals will be reviewed in the very near future. And once the department makes its selection, we will create a state plan. The state plan then has to be sent to USDA. USDA will give its stamp of approval and send it back to me. It is then that I will be able to notify all the applicants whether their proposal has been accepted or not. We can't make announcements prior to that approval. I know you are anxious, and I'm sorry, but that's just the rules and the way we have to go with the flow. So I just wanted to highlight those couple of grants for you. Please reach out anytime I can help you. I'm glad to answer any questions, and I look forward to working with you to help see your project through to success.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And we are on to Christina. So Christina is going to talk to us about international opportunities.
Hey everybody, I'm Christina Slater and I'm the International Marketing Business Consultant here at TDA. So I first wanted to start out by just letting you know kind of what Tennessee is doing on the international stage. So as of October of 24, we had exported $2.39 billion worth of agriculture and forestry goods. That number has grown since then. I haven't looked up the final numbers yet. But we're definitely, on the right track. 128 countries imported Tennessee products, and the top 5 destinations were China, Canada, Netherlands, Mexico, and Germany. Some of our top exported products were cotton, distilled spirits, bakery goods, forest products, and poultry products. We can go to the next slide, please. So one of the organizations that we work with and that all Southern state departments work with is called the Southern U.S. Trade Association. They help small and medium-sized businesses kind of break into the international market. They have 3 different kind of prongs to their organization. The first is global events, which would be inbound and outbound trade missions, which is where we either take producers from the state to a foreign market for an event, or where we bring in foreign buyers to then meet with Tennessee producers here in the state. They also have a cost share program. They offer a 50% reimbursement on eligible expenses to help promote your brand internationally. And then they also have an educational aspect. So they have webinars. They have an export helpline. So if you had a quick question about exports, you could put that in there. And they do virtual consultations with international consultants. And then they also offer an export readiness training, which happens twice a year. And it is 4 Wednesdays in a row where you're on Zoom for half a day each of those Wednesdays, and you learn the ins and outs of exporting. This is just a really good program. It's free. It's federally funded, so your taxpayer dollars are going into this program. So I always tell people might as well take advantage of what you're already paying for. But yeah, so if you have any questions about this program, just let me know, and we'll move on to the next one. So another organization that we work with is the U.S. Livestock Genetics Export Council. And again, they are a federally funded nonprofit that they work to enhance trade with livestock genetics. This producers can't really, well, I guess they could become members, but it's kind of costly. But as a State Department, we are a member, and so we work with USLGE to bring in buyers from different countries and focus on different livestock species. So we've done events that focused on cattle and small ruminants. Another really good resource that we have access to is the USDA's Foreign Agricultural Surface. They have on their webpage, they have online trade data for every country. And so if you were interested in a specific country to export your product, you could work with me, and I could get you the information on that country and to even see if like your product would be a good fit there or not. They also offer trade missions so on these missions, they take producers from all over the U.S. to this foreign market, and then those producers are then able to meet with foreign buyers, and these are vetted buyers and prearranged meetings. And then you also, while you're there, you get to learn more about the market and see, what's on the shelf or just different things that are going on over there. I'm actually leaving on one of these trade missions Friday, so that's super exciting. I'll be in Thailand to learn more about that market and how Tennessee products could fit there. Again, they also, I mentioned they have different reports. So one is the FAIRS report. This kind of shows the different regulations and standards needed to meet a specific country. And then the GAINS report tells about the different trends in the market for that country, what products are doing well. and just kind of what other competition and the strengths and weaknesses that are there for that market. So I just wanted to go over some upcoming activities that we have planned with a focus on international opportunities. So we are having European buyers and Indian buyers coming to Tennessee this year for forest products. So that's super exciting. For alcohol beverage producers, we have an opportunity to take producers to Atlantic Canada. So that would be New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and that is in July. But we also have an opportunity for spirits producers to meet European buyers here in the state in April. And then lastly, for food products, so SUSTA has a lot of, as I mentioned, their global events. They have pavilions at trade shows all over the world, but the one that I want to highlight specifically is Summer Fancy Foods. This is the only domestic show that they have a pavilion at. So you could exhibit at this show at a lower cost than what it normally would cost to be at this trade show. And I say it's a great kind of way to kind of stick your toes into the international market without having to travel halfway across the globe. So if you have any questions about any of these activities or just want to learn more about international marketing, please let me know. I'm always happy to help.
All right. Thank you, Christina. Lots of information covered there. And we're going to go on next to Casey Troop, and she's going to talk to us about agritourism, beginning farmers, and also another program called Homegrown by Heroes.
Good evening, everyone. I am Casey Troop, like Andy mentioned, and my contact information is there at the bottom of each of my slides if you need to reach out to me. Like Andy mentioned, I'm the consultant for agritourism, beginning farmers, and farmer veterans. I'm going to start with talking about agritourism. It's continuing to be a growing industry here in Tennessee as well as across the country. According to the 2022 U.S. Census of Agriculture, the value of sales for agritourism and recreation in Tennessee was around $24.5 million, and that increased by over 68% from the previous census in 2017. And we expect those numbers to be even larger in the next census as well. So as many of the consultants are going to mention, I provide consultations for folks in those industries. Whether you are looking to expand your operation or get started in agritourism, I can help provide guidance in what direction to go. 3 of the groups that I work with involving agritourism are the Tennessee Agritourism Association, the Tennessee Christmas Tree Growers Association, and the Tennessee Farm Wine Growers Alliance. All 3 of these groups are excellent networking and educational groups for people within those industries who are looking to connect and share resources, and they all work to help grow the industry as a whole. So I highly recommend, if you are looking into getting any of these 3 types of operations, you look into membership of these organizations as well. They all put on members. We work closely with the Agritourism Association to host their bus tour that happens in July each year. Be looking for an official announcement on dates and registration for that coming very soon. It's going to be the 3rd week of July this year, and we're going to the greater Chicago area, and we'll be touring several really excellent agritourism operations. So this tour is for agritourism operators who are either looking to get new ideas or people who want to kind of learn from other farms doing the same thing. The Christmas Tree Growers Association also puts on great workshops throughout the year. Their field days are excellent resources for folks to learn about production and sale of Christmas trees. And the Farm Wine Growers Alliance does the same thing as well. And we can go to the next slide. Oh, another area that I work with are beginning farmers and farmer veterans. We have a really great, what I call a beginning farmer email. So when folks reach out to the department and they are just wanting to get started in agriculture, to start, we have a long list of resources that I can send you. And I've heard from many folks that they kind of use this as their checklist to help them know where to start and where to build as they're getting started in agriculture. So if you are just new to getting started in ag, please reach out. I'd be glad to send you all of the resources we have. It connects you to Department of Ag resources. It connects you to USDA resources, Extension through University of Tennessee and Tennessee State University. It connects you to a wide variety of producer groups, all of the things that you would need to help guide you through getting started. We can share it with you. We see a lot of veterans as they're transitioning out of military service, wanting to get into agriculture. So we've been growing our work with the Farmer Veteran Coalition. They are a national chapter here locally in Tennessee as well. And we're really excited about our new Homegrown by Heroes partnership with the Farmer Veteran Coalition. With them for several years now, and they have a program called Homegrown by Heroes that works very similar to our Pick Tennessee Products program that Sarah was talking about earlier. And its main purpose is to help farmers and ranchers that are veterans promote their product as a veteran. And we just partnered with them to create this merge logo in July of last year. We released it on July 4th. So now farmer veterans in Tennessee, when they're looking to market their product, they're not having to pick between two different logos. There's only so much space on a label. There's almost so much space in a marketing campaign. And now with this merge logo that you see here on the screen, you can convey both messages to your customers at the same time, that not only but you're also a veteran product. And we're very excited to help continue to grow that and support our farmer veterans here in Tennessee. The last program I wanted to mention is actually a program that is in the University of Tennessee and the Appalachian RC&D Council. But here at the Department of Ag, we are supporting it as well. Program, and it's going to be working closely with Fort Campbell and Clarksville, Tennessee, to help those who are transitioning out of the military who want to get into agriculture to be able to have a mentorship with farmers in Tennessee where they can go for a few weeks towards the end of their military service and gain hands-on experience on a farm that will help them when they get started. So if you have questions about any of these programs, information is at the bottom of the slides there, and I'd be glad to talk with you more and connect you with the various groups that I work with.
Thank you very much, Casey. Next will be Dave Newman, who is going to be talking to us about our forest products industry and also the services that he can offer as our forest business products consultant.
All right. Thanks, folks. Again, I'm Dave Newman. I'm a wood products business consultant with the department. I work mostly with sawmills, loggers, and wood manufacturers. The forest industry is pretty important in Tennessee for a variety of reasons, but in part because there's so much forest here. Forests make up about half of Tennessee's land area, about 14 million acres. The industry contributes about $22 billion to the state's economy and supports about 85,000 jobs. That represents about 3% of the state's economy and about a quarter of all the jobs supported by agriculture. Forest products industry, because forests tend to be in rural areas, also is important in local communities. Forest products industry, it turns out, is one of the top employers in rural communities. Okay, if you could switch to the next slide, please. So how do we support the forest products industry? We provide advice and assistance to companies, both startups and existing forest products companies. We get involved in support, providing assistance in business expansion and attraction projects in partnership with the state level economic and community development division, and also with other local and regional economic developers. Usually we're involved by providing wood supply analyses, advice about forest resources in Tennessee, and assistance in connecting with local providers of forest products, who makes which products in Tennessee, and information about resource availability. We also provide advice on state and federal grants that are available to help support or defray equipment purchases, the cost of purchasing new equipment or improving efficiency in forest products manufacturing operations. And we're happy to connect you with the folks at USDA Rural Development or the Forest Service for more detailed advice on how to apply for those grants. Okay, now if you'll switch to the next slide, we also get involved in promoting international trade. We've got a couple of years of grant funding that we tied into to promote markets for forest products overseas. Over the next 3 years, we're going to be putting special attention on Vietnam and Indian forest, in forest product markets in India. Going to a couple of trade shows a year to try to connect uh, Tennessee exporters with importers and distributors in those two countries, and to try to educate those consumers in those markets about the availability and the utility of hardwoods grown here in Tennessee. Now, when we go to these trade shows, one of the key things we do is we hand out a list of our exporters. And if you are not already on our export directory, shown here on our Tennessee Business Development Division website under Export Assistance and Export Directory Forest Products, if you're not on this list already and you're interested in exporting forest products or currently exporting, contact us and we'll be happy to add you to the list. We use this list to try to help connect buyers and sellers and respond to inquiries we get about purchasing forest products. Okay, the next information resource, if you could switch to the next slide, please. We have an interactive primary mill locator map that Forestry Division maintains. This is a resource that allows users to quickly find sawmills and contact information for those mills. And again, if you are not on this directory and have an interest, we'd be happy to add you. Please contact us. And then the last resource we have available is the Carbon Source Vendor Map. Now, this is a map that we developed, Business Development Division developed to assist our state livestock disease response teams. But the map is also pretty handy for helping you locate sources of wood chips and sawdust, and is available at the link shown at the bottom of the screen. With that, well, thanks, and we'll turn it over to Mike Brown.
Thank you, Dave. Mike Brown, I'm the food business consultant, and I want to sincerely thank everybody for being on this call. There's a lot of places you could be tonight, and it's a true honor for us to be on a communications tool like this where so many agricultural advocates are assembled in one place. So thank you for that. And I will say I'm going to do my best to be to give an overview of this one. This is well, I'll just tell you that I normally allot about a 2-hour time slot for specific vendor meetings. So I'll do my best. And if I'm not clear on something, please, I encourage you to utilize the chat feature here. And if we can't answer questions tonight at the end of this, then you can reach out to me. My information is on the slide up that you're looking at right there. As a rule, you could probably sum up what I do for the department in 2 categories. One being partnership outreach, specific educational outreach, partnership. By partnerships, I mean other governmental agencies like the Tennessee Department of Health or the Tennessee Department of Education, academia through the Tennessee State University Extension and the University of Tennessee Extension, and all kinds of trade groups that we work with constantly, similar to the Tennessee Fruit and Vegetable Association and things like that. So we're constantly looking for opportunities to recognize topics that are of interest to the agricultural community. And when we recognize those, we typically reach out to the partnership agency that it fits the category the best, and try to set up individual educational events. Sometimes they're virtual. I prefer in person. Certainly, there seems to be a lot more interaction, and they just seem to be a little bit more effective, but sometimes that's not possible. Like tonight, it'd be kind of hard for us to get all in one room. So that's the first category. The second category that I work with closely are just individual consultations, and you could sum this up, and we used to use this in the animal world, but I think it applies to food too, is everything from conception to consumption with food. So it's I've spent a great amount of my time with people who just have ideas. They just call up and say, "Hey, I have an idea for this, and I just wondered what I would have to do to take it to market." Well, that can go all kinds of directions, and sometimes people follow through, and sometimes they don't. But I will encourage anyone on the call, if you're considering taking a product to market at any level, whether it be, just something you make in your kitchen, which you certainly can do that under the Food Freedom Act, it's fairly new, or taking something to get it co-packed, or building your own plant even. I work with people all the time that they build up a business, and they have a big business, and it enables them to do whatever they want to financially. They can either sell it, or they can employ family members, or just be a driving force in the community. The consultations aspect takes on so many different hats. I want to encourage you to use the chat box and use my contact information there, and reach out to me individually if we can't answer that tonight. But I'll just give you a couple of examples of what a consultation might look like. I was recently, well, it's actually a company that I had worked with for a long time, and that he had built up to be a very large farmers market based company. He was wanting to take it in. He decided he wanted to take it into further markets, Kroger, places like that. And so we have a meeting, and the first thing I say is, "What are you willing to sell your product for?" And he gives me a number. And so that number enabled us to dissect if that would be a feasible thing to do in a place like Kroger. And what that means is that you have to determine what kind of margin Kroger's going to need, what kind of margin that the producer is going to have to sell to Kroger. And it was that's just an example of one service. I have people asking all the time for specific label review. We do not have an actual label review board within our department, but we have enough experience with the department that we can review labels and pretty much determine if it's going to be FDA compliant or not, and then people can take that information and make the adjustments where the FDA will be satisfied. As a rule, the FDA does not get involved with food manufacturing permits until products start to cross state lines, and when you start to get that larger footprint, then they take an interest, and they'll come knocking eventually. It's kind of a dice roll when they're going to come, but they will come. So that's just something we all have to be prepared for. The other things I do are just other aspects of taking a product to market. I'm actually involved in sales calls with people. A lot of times, marketing agents will answer a phone call from a government agency when they will not answer it from a individual. So that's a position that I'm very serious about, and respect the office of the Department of Agriculture and the power that we are given to be a force for food entrepreneurs to help them get into markets. I think that's probably about it. I see some questions coming in, so I'll do my best to talk about those at the end. But forgive me for spitting so much information at you, but I just want to make sure everybody's doing what they want to. And again, I want to encourage you to pursue that dream of getting in the food business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And as you all are seeing, there's obviously lots of information, and it might be good to do some follow-up individually with some of these business consultants, but then there's also this opportunity to kind of engage in the chat. And that's where we're going to take questions toward the end of our presentation as well. So if y'all have questions, go ahead and be thinking about those, or go ahead and start loading those into the chat, and we'll address those as we're able to. And if they're really specific, we may need to reach out to you. If we need to give you, really specific answers to certain questions, may need to reach out to you separately from this meeting. Up next, however, is going to be Mary Gamble. She's going to talk about our row crops, horticulture, kind of the green industry, and her role as a consultant relative to those areas. So, Mary, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Gamble. Just as Andy had said, I cover the entire state of Tennessee from west, middle to east. I reside in West Tennessee, and as I give you some information here, I'll be glad to come sit with you and meet with you, just as Mike and others have mentioned. Like I said, I cover both row crops and horticulture. In my opinion, those are two of the largest sectors of agriculture, because you're bringing in $177 million in nursery industry and $1.09 billion for soybeans. So with that, I like to say that I cover anything from a soybean to a tree growing in the state. So some of the projects that I have worked on have been extensively involved in the nursery industry and also in the grain industry. I'll give you some of the examples that pertain to some of the grants that Rachel had kind of discussed earlier. These are purely examples, and like she said earlier, these are competitive grants. I just wanted to throw out some ideas to get your mind going and kind of understand when you're going through your process of thinking about some kind of upgrade that you're doing to either a commercial facility, or you hear of a commercial facility doing an upgrade, and or your current operation, to where you're going to make a significant advancement to your operation to add access to a market of that sort. So on the row crop side of things, I would like to say that maybe a good example would be like a significant bin upgrade, to where you may be expanding your operation to store others' grain in the area, to where you would have to get like a commercial grain license to do this. That would be one very broad example. Another example for the nursery industry or horticulture sector would be maybe an upgrade greenhouse, to where you could access other markets at different times of the year, and or maybe possibly some kind of upgrade to innovative equipment, to where you could cut down on cost and more efficiencies and things like that. Like I said, those are pure examples. I would love to chat with you about any of those projects that you have in your mind or you're about to go through. And I'll be glad to come and meet with you and consult with you, just like Mike was discussing for his sector. I will say that if you are expanding your operation and you're wondering if those grants that Rachel did discuss fit into your operation, perhaps, the website that Andy put on the chat will give you 4 categories. And if you read through those project categories, which are increase in farm income, increased access to markets, increased capacity, or agriculture innovation, and you think that one of those may fit that project, please reach out to any of us and we'll be glad to help you. With that, that's all I have tonight. I'll give it back over to Andy.
Good deal. Thank you, Mary. And up last, certainly not least, is going to be Rob Thomas, who's going to talk to us about the market news program. And so we are short one business consultant at the moment, and that is a livestock business consultant. That is a position that I assume will be filled sometime soon, after we bring in another assistant commissioner to fill the vacancy from my departure. So we don't have anybody here to really talk about livestock at the moment. I'm kind of the contact for that at the moment. So if you have livestock related questions, apart from the market side, You can reach out to me relative to that. We can put, again, questions in the chat, or you can reach out to me directly. I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. But we're now going to turn it over to Rob Thomas to talk about market news and some relatively new news in our market news section. So, Rob, I'll turn it over to you, starting with the hay report.
Thanks, Andy. Happy to be here with you. As Andy said, my name is Rob Thomas. I'm the supervisor for the market news reporters and graders. We presently have 6 reporters and graders, 2 in each division of the state. We cover 15 regular weekly cattle auctions with market news reports. And we grade 7 graded sales across the state under USDA standards. We also cover 7 video auctions. Those graded auctions and video auctions might be bi-weekly, monthly, or seasonal, where the cattle auctions are regularly weekly. We just presently started a hay market report this fall. You see that information on the screen. Those reports are organized by region of the state, type of hay, quality grade, and package size. That report comes out monthly on the last Thursday of each month. Presently, we are reporting asking price only of the hay, but we'll this year hope to have sales or trades. If you're interested in becoming a producer who participates in the hay report, that contact information is, as I said, on a pamphlet that we're going to start giving out. It's on the screen right now. If you have taken a master beef class or small ruminant class with the TAP, master beef program, the person who gives that grading demonstration is usually one of our graders market news reporters. And in anytime you have any questions about grading or market news, you can contact me with that information on the screen, or you can just go up to a market news reporter at a local auction and they'd be happy to entertain any questions you have. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Rob. And I believe that kind of brings us to the end of our kind of presentation that we've put out here for you. We do want to, again, take whatever questions you might have and recognize it may be easier for you all to reach out to us individually via email or through the other means that we've supplied for you to reach out and contact us. But if you have any questions, go ahead and throw those off in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a couple. We do have a question here, Jan. It says, what types of horticultural products will be eligible for this year's TAP program? So you want to try to take a stab at that one?
What type of products? I didn't understand the question, Andy.
Might just kind of talk about, I don't know if it'd probably be producer diversification a little bit more, or Caitlin, if you could maybe refine your question a little bit more, but maybe talk about the horticultural intersection with TAP if you can briefly, Jan.
So within producer diversification, it is a competitive grant cost share program. We do have a sector for horticulture. So the priority projects are always projects that deal with increasing productivity. So look at projects such as greenhouses, packing sheds, things like that. So I would just invite you to check out the horticulture sector of the TAP web pages under producer diversification to get an idea of some of the projects that are eligible. But you do need to be have your plant certification license in order to be eligible for horticulture. But if you have any questions or any concerns, don't hesitate to give me a call, and I can get to know more about your operation that way on a one-on-one basis.
All right, thank you, Jan. And I've seen the question a couple of times in the chat if this is being recorded or not, and it is. And so we're going to try to post this in a couple of different places after the meeting comes to a conclusion. I'm going to run back through and look for some other questions here that I think have been unanswered so far. One question that we've got from Bryce Myers. And if that's the Bryce Myers I'm thinking of, I think he has a connection with some of our veterans programs. But the question is, are there programs for assisting with building a bridge to improve access to my farmland? And nothing really comes to mind for me at the moment. Now, there could be other programs that are not state programs, but potentially something through NRCS or something with USDA. But I'm not aware of anything at the Department of Agriculture. Any of the other TDA staff, you're free to jump in here if anything comes to mind for you, but I can't think of anything right off. There were some other questions relative to co-packing. I think maybe there was a question that was asked specific to a specific size of product, and I think Mike's tried to follow up and ask
Yeah, Joseph,
relative to what.
if you can expand on that type of product, that'll help me a lot. You know, what it is exactly, what kind of product you're talking about.
Good deal. And that was, for everybody's information, that was Bryce Myers with Ag Balls who asked that question. So Bryce is new to that program and is going to be a great asset. There's going to be some other questions here. I think I was going to try to find. I think there was one. There's a question from Laura Dowdy relative to the East Tennessee nursery, the tree nursery. I think maybe she's making sure that we are aware of the program. But if others are not aware, yeah. Dave, any comments on the tree nursery?
Hi, Laura. Laura's a state employee. I think she works for the nursery. But yes, that's the nursery is run by Forestry Division and supplies seedlings to forest landowners. We don't get involved in that with Business Development Division. That's assistance that Forestry Division provides directly to forest landowners in the industry.
So there is the website for the East Tennessee Tree Nursery as well. And when I pulled that up and looked over it myself, there's an abundance of different types of trees that are available. And actually, I was talking to our state forester, Heather Slayton, earlier today about some bare root options to plant on our farm. So they are available, and we would encourage you, if you're looking for trees, to utilize the state's nursery. There was a follow-up on Bryce's question relative to the bridge. So the ARC fund, which is the Appalachian Resource Council, I believe is what the ARC is. You may, David, give us a little bit more information or put a website on there, but said may be able to help with that bridge. And those are great questions. Again, the state, obviously, we have pretty specific things that we work with, but we have a network of resources where we can oftentimes help you find some answers if you're looking for those. So there's another question. Would anybody know where there's a good venue to sell fresh or frozen USDA processed goat meat, licensed by the state, and as well to sell? And how does meat production fall within Pick Tennessee Products? So Mike and or Sarah, you might want to jump on that question there for me if you can.
Yeah, I'll start. As a rule, processed goat meat is not a huge category in Tennessee. Selling live animals is a much bigger way that's marketed, just because of there's a lot of Muslim population here, and a lot of those customers want the live animal, and they want to prepare it themselves. So that's the more popular way to sell goat. If it's USDA inspected goat meat, we do not have a category specifically for goat on our Pick Tennessee platform. So there's nothing, we really don't have a mechanism there. And Sarah can certainly throw her 2 cents at that one. But currently we don't have a category that fits goat meat. But I would just recommend strongly that if you have access to a farmer's market, and you go to the farmer's market, I believe, it's my opinion, that goat meat would be extremely popular at a farmer's market or off the farm even. There's nothing preventing you from selling that directly from your farm. You would have to have a farm-based retail meat permit through the Department of Agriculture, and that's a very easy permit to get, and that would enable you to sell goat meat directly from your farm or advertise it online. That's very popular these days as well. People will get a Facebook page and just advertise that they have goat meat, and you'd be surprised at the buzz that will generate.
Sarah, you care to give any feedback relative to Pick Tennessee products? I mean, there we go. Let's say we may have lost Sarah, but it sounds like we got her.
I'm here. Yeah, I think that was great, Mike. Especially all the permitting questions. That's definitely Mike. But if you have any Pick Tennessee product specific questions, feel free to reach out and we can go deeper into that conversation. And also, just I didn't say it before, Pick Tennessee Products is free to join. And the application is on the website like we talked about earlier, but it's a free program for producers in the state.
Well, I do have the link for application for Pick Tennessee products also in the chat there. It's quite a ways up now at this point.
Andy,
we
before
do
could I ask Stephanie a question real quick,
Sure.
and maybe she could respond?
Yeah.
I'm just curious as where are you taking that's a USDA facility for goat meat? I wasn't aware of any in Tennessee, so that would help me a lot if you would put that in the chat box.
We can do that. And then Mike, there's another one here that's probably going to be a good fit for you. Says this is a question from Jasmine, 7-year apiarist and mead maker. Who would I speak to about expanding my business? And Mike is definitely a fan of mead. Not all about the consumption, but definitely of the production thereof. So, Mike, you want to take that one?
It's the nectar of the gods. I didn't say it. It's been called the nectar of the gods forever. So, I tell you what, that's Jasmine. That's probably a better suited for offline. So if you wouldn't mind, send me an email or put it in the text box. Give me a phone number in the text box, and I'll just call you and we'll talk about it, because I think it would probably take up more time here than we have. If you don't mind doing that.
All right, there's another question here. Some nursery growers are asking if you can give any specific examples. So I think, Caitlin, I need probably some information back on that. I think you're talking about probably relative to the producer diversification within TAEP. But if you could give maybe a little more clarity on that, or just reach out to us directly if you would like. But I see your other comment down here relative to if we have a big project, can we submit both Ag Enterprise and also Ag Track? And the answer to that really is you'll fit into one or the other based on the total capital investment based on your project. So if it's above 2 million, it'll be a project for Ag Track. If it's below 2 million, it'll be a project for Ag Enterprise Fund, assuming that the total project is over 50,000. So we have kind of a threshold minimum of 50,000 for Ag Enterprise Fund and a threshold of a minimum of $2 million for an Ag Track program application. And again, those application opportunities are 25% cost shared. And then we do also have a question here. So this is from Matthew. Who can I call to discuss my specialty? I think maybe like specialty crop operation in respect to expansion of building and equipment needs. And that would be a conversation that several of us could probably have with you, but myself or Mary would probably be the best options on that. But if it's specific to specialty crop grant, the block grant, that would probably be best suited for Rachel. But that's not probably going to be an opportunity to expand your own personal operation as much as maybe some of the other cost share programs. So Rachel, I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on that, or Mary, but I think that'd be a good conversation for us to have if we had some more details, Matthew. All right, we have another question here. It says, if you applied for TAP, are they supposed to send out denial letters, or do you just get a notification letter if your project is approved? So there will be letters sent out for both those that are approved and denied. Jan, do you have any additional comments on that?
Yeah, thank you, Andy. As of right now, the disapproval letters have not been mailed. Individuals will probably receive an email notification here within this week, and then there'll be follow up with a letter or with a phone call from a staff member giving more details on their situation with their project. So please be patient with us.
We have had another question that I think is probably worth having a little bit of interaction on, and it's the question relative to the executive order that was put out by President Trump. And it's relative to loans and grants that are funded through the federal government. And so we have just been really made aware of this, starting early this morning and kind of working through this executive order, not only with the governor's office, but also within the Department of Agriculture, trying to learn a little bit more information. Several folks that are involved in a couple of cost share programs that were funded through the feds. For example, our TUF programs, the Tennessee Urban Farm and Forest Program, and then also our farm program, so forestry, agriculture, and rural markets. Those two programs you all may have heard us talk about, and we are waiting to kind of hear back from the administration and then also from the governor's office as to what the impacts on that might be. So those grants and loans were really kind of halted as of 5 o'clock this afternoon. And there's going to be an evaluation of those grants and loans through February the 10th. And our understanding is that sometime between the 7th and the 10th, we're probably going to hear some information back from the feds as to what loans, what cost share, what grants may or may not be impacted. I have just seen a few things today on social media kind of clarifying some of that information, basically direct payments to individuals, so SNAP payments, Medicare, Medicaid, things of that nature. My understanding is they will not be impacted, but I think the question really is related more to like cost share dollars that we're administering within the department. We are currently unclear about that, but we are trying to seek further clarification. So I think that's kind of where we need to leave that at the moment. But there'll be more information forthcoming, I would assume, in the relatively near future. All right, there are a couple other questions over here, and our team, if y'all can chime in if there's any of these questions that you want to try to answer, that would be helpful if you all can do that as well, because I can't really talk and read them all at the same time.
Andy,
Sarah?
I got one by email about the future of the Ag Enterprise Fund and Ag Track as far as future funding.
Yeah, so just a question about what does that look like into the future?
Yeah. Just okay. This is from, and thank you, Hal. This is from Hal Pepper. He said he had a producer recently heard that the Ag Enterprise Fund may not continue.
So the Ag Enterprise Fund, which is the funding mechanism through which we also receive our dollars to fund the Ag Track program, are at this point non-recurring. So we have received funding for 2 years, and we are not necessarily guaranteed to continue to receive funding into the future, but the department has requested additional funding from the governor's office through the governor's budget. And obviously that would have to have approval from the Tennessee General Assembly. But the request has been made. And we, at this point, are so early in the budget cycle that we have not been given assurance of whether that funding will continue or whether it will not. Looking out sort of across the state revenue collections, our state is doing incredibly well, especially in comparison to a lot of other states. Our rate of growth has slowed rather significantly, but we still, as a state, are doing very well. We're thriving. Our economy continues to grow. So I am hopeful that we'll continue to receive funding for Ag Enterprise Fund and Ag Track. But again, it's too early for us to say how much that funding will be, or be absolutely positive that we will be receiving that. Sarah, you had your hand up there. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes. Okay, I've seen a couple questions about the mobile store. So real quick, let me just explain a little bit more about where we are in that process. So there is no mobile store right now. It does not exist. It is very close to hopefully starting to exist in the very near future. We don't have anyone like building it yet. We're not there. And then, and if you have any follow-up questions, send those in the chat about like the status of it. And then once the mobile store is built, my vision for it is that it will kind of work like the state fair and the Pick Tennessee Products store there, where we'll send out information and those who are interested jump on it and get your products in there. And yeah, there will be a warehouse that will hold inventory that they will pull from. Yeah. Any other follow-ups? Happy to take those too.
I do have a question here, Mike. Sarah, it's addressed to you. Do you have an online list of co-packers based in Tennessee by product category? And I'm quite positive we don't have anything online. But Mike, I think you could probably help in that discussion if somebody wanted to reach out to you and help isolate some co-packers.
Absolutely.
Mike, maybe
yes.
Could you give a little overview about co-packing in the state generally?
Well, co-packing is a tremendous challenge, in not just in Tennessee but everywhere. What's happened is these traditional co-packers now are overrun by request by what would be considered smaller companies. So it's gotten to be where there's a few large companies that are requesting co-packing services that are pretty much taking all of the time of the production time for the co-packers. So that, for that reason, it's just about impossible for us to do a legitimate, precise list of those, because they come and go almost weekly around here. I'll talk to someone that's traditional co-pack and he'll call and say, I am not co-packing anymore because I don't have time. So the bottom line is, Hyman, if you could, and I hate to keep doing this, I've repeated myself a lot, but if you could just put your contact information in the chat box, I'll give you a call and we can talk about specifics about where you are and what the product is, and maybe we can find somebody. There are definitely people still doing it. It's just a little bit more of a challenge than it used to be.
Good deal. Are there any questions that we've missed so far? I think there's a more of a, I guess, just kind of some thoughts here from Charlene relative to specialty crop block grant used to foster the increased production of berries. We have not talked a whole lot about trends at the moment or up to this time, but we do see an increase in fresh fruit production, especially berries. That's one of the fruits that we can, grow pretty well here in the state. We do hope that we'll continue to have more fruit production as time goes on. They seem to work really well, not only just for commercial operations for producing, but also pick your own. So Charlene, if you maybe you could let us know sort of where you're at, or if you have questions about that. From a pick your own perspective, I think Casey's probably one of our best resources. And then for specialty crop production, just generally, that's a question that you could get some resources from Rachel. You could also talk to Mary as well relative to some of those potential opportunities. Maybe we could help you find some strawberry or some other types of berry producers. You can also use the Pick Tennessee Products app to search as well for berry producers. That's also been a relatively good way to sort of reach out and find producers of different types of products. Again, as Sarah alluded to previously, we're working through that app, trying to make it a little more user friendly. But that is one suggestion I would give you. So anybody else have any additional thoughts from the team? All right.
Andy,
Yes.
I was gonna mention, so going back to Katie's question, and thank you, Katie, for putting that in the chat. I've responded in a kind of a broad aspect to your question regarding the specific examples. As Rachel mentioned, these are competitive cost share programs. So each project, is going to be submitted solely based on how competitive it is to others each round. So I would encourage anyone that's listening to this or has reviewed those categories for either Ag Track or Ag Enterprise to think through your project. And if you think that it's something that fits into those categories, please submit it. We score those on a competitive basis as a committee. And, if your project fits well with the Tennessee Agriculture Initiative and what the goal is, then it will, be successful. So please go ahead and submit those projects if you think they're applicable and fit in those categories well. And I've put my name and contact information in the chat so that anyone can reach out to me as you need.
Good deal. And looks like we're exchanging some information there. If there's any one of the business consultants or myself that you want to reach out to, again, we will be recording this, or we are recording this, and I would assume that we'll post this to our business development page. It may be also shared on social media. So we'll try to make sure that you all can find this pretty easily. But if you do have specific questions, please reach out to the business consultants, and we'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can and answer whatever questions you have for us. I think we might be caught up. I think there's been some questions answered in the chat there, but we don't want to rush off, needlessly too quick. But okay, got a question about the hay report. So the Tennessee hay report for round bales for cattle, or will there be square bales for horse owners, and is the hay tested? So at this point, Rob, you may want to chime in here and talk about the hay report, but we do have a lot of what we would consider to be horse quality hay that is mentioned on this report, and we're looking to hopefully add in the full spectrum of hay that would be available, and hopefully add in over time straw, and also potentially even things like silage or haylage. But Rob, I'll turn it over to you to try to answer the question. Maybe give it a little bit more background about the way that we actually categorize hay as well.
As I mentioned before, those reports are categorized by region of the state, west, middle, and east, and there's a quality grade set by USDA standards that we grade the hay. The type of hay is included in that, whether it be alfalfa, timothy, ryegrass, and we are reporting haylage at this point. Any package that the hay comes in, we're reporting. We do not at this point report by the ton. We report mainly by the bale. Um, and the majority of the hay that we report is horse quality hay. Quite a bit of alfalfa and Bermuda grass, a little bit of Timothy and orchard grass also.
Good deal. And again, there's and maybe we can share the links too for those hay reports and also the livestock report as well. All right. I think we might be caught up on questions as of now. We'll wait just a couple of seconds here. We had this scheduled to end about 7:30. It looks like we might have timed that out pretty well. We do appreciate y'all having joined us. Hope that you had the opportunity to learn a few things or hear about some programs and opportunities that we have available within the Division of Business Development. And something too, I never really expect that, just everybody has a full understanding of how the department is organized, but the department is organized within divisions. And so the programs that we've talked about tonight really fall within just the Division of Business Development, and maybe a couple of the other divisions, maybe we've nibbled around the edges just a bit, but we also do have the Division of Forestry. We have the Division of um, animal health as well. We also have a policy division, and we have administration and grants. So we have quite a diverse footprint, both ag and forestry at the Department of Agriculture. And so just in general, if there are ways that we can help you with any type of forestry or agricultural question, we're here as a resource for you. So appreciate y'all taking the time to be with us. Please feel free to follow up with us as you see fit, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can. We will schedule another one of these meetings where we might do a little bit more of a specific dive into some, particular programs, but we're going to try to do these on a quarterly basis. So with that said, I think we'll probably go ahead and sign off. I don't see any additional questions, but feel free to reach out. We'll help however we can. So thank you all very much. Have a good evening.